Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Here she is in the most current form as of today. So thanks for tuning into another video. Just gonna get out here and try to chip away at this thing. I hadn't been able to have much time to get out here, but anyway, today's objective, as you probably can tell from the title, is getting these wastegates put on. I don't currently, at this minute in the video, do not have the wastegates. They'll be here later today, but I wanted to go ahead and get this thing prepped up and get it ready. I got all the fuel lines and stuff laid out. There you go, as you guys can see that. And so I figured the next thing to move on to will be the wastegates. So I've got to finish welding all these joints up. They're just tacked in place right now anyway. So I'm gonna get that done, show you guys along the way, and get the gates in here today and get the gates put on this thing, hopefully. That's gonna be the objective. And then probably go ahead and try to get the exhaust put on, at least fabbed up. You know, I got to get the front end stuff put back on so I know exactly where it's going to come out on the bumper and get all that, and I'm going to try to go ahead and scuff this this surface rust stuff on all these pieces, and then do another coat of WD-40 because this thing is starting to get a little out of control from it sitting here and me sweating on it and stuff like that. So I don't want it to continue to surface rust before I get some paint on it. But anyway, that's the objective today. I wanted to bring you guys along for the ride, and man, we're getting closer. One little step at a time. We're getting closer, getting closer, getting closer. So I wanted to bring you guys along, and we'll follow up here in a second. All right, everybody. So fast forward a little bit, actually to the next day, but I decided to go ahead and shift focus a little bit and get working on the exhaust. The actual exhaust, not the hot side. But the hot side is pretty much done. Don't look at my jacked up welds. I mean, some of them look okay, some of them not so much, but it's not a big deal because as it comes out of the hot side right here, this giant area right here is where the wastegate's gonna be cut out anyway. So this is where I'm gonna come off of that one. And then this side, I'm gonna be having it come off this right here. So I'm gonna cut a hole out right here and it's gonna come out. So anyway, as like I told you guys yesterday, I was waiting on the gates to show up. As I told you earlier, not yesterday. So here's one of them. It's a 60mm JGS. A lot of people pretty familiar with these gates. They're a pretty good build quality, American made. Just really good units. The piston design in them is, they're supposed to last a long time. I actually had this, I bought a 50mm gate from these guys when I had my 2007 Turbo Silverado, and absolutely zero issues at all. Matter of fact, that gate was perfect. So I thought, well, I'll shift focus a little bit, go a little bit bigger, because the gates I originally bought for this car was the 50mm VS Racing ones, the same as the turbo. But as the more and more I got thinking, I was say, well, if this is gonna really see a lot of duty cycle on the gates with, you know, the CO2 control and stuff like that on the track, I really kind of wanted more of a robust gate on it rather than the VS Racing ones. I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about them, and I've heard a lot of bad things about them, but I mean, who really knows? So anyway, I thought, well, I'll go bigger anyway, right? That was my main concern. I was like, well, maybe I'll go a little bit bigger. Maybe I'll be able to control the boost a little bit better. So twin 60s on this thing. Should be able to control it down pretty low. So that is going to be the focus for the rest of the day, on top of at least getting this exhaust somewhat at least mocked up. So I've got the hole cut for the bumper. I've got this section cut back, the 45 on it. I got it just tacked up there right now, and then I've got another 90 section that I'm about to cut, and it's going to, I'm gonna cut a 45 out of it basically, and once I get it cut, I'll be able to go up in here once it's cut at a 45 and hopefully match up something similar to that. And when that matches up, this that I'm holding on to will basically be facing straight out the bumper, and then I'll cut it accordingly out here. So I'm not gonna worry about V-banding the exit out the bumper yet. I can do that at a later time. I can like cut it up here or something somewhere and put a V-band in it. That way you can like remove the bumper and you can just un-V-band that and take that off, and you can leave the rest of the exhaust hooked up to the turbo. But anyway, that's gonna be part of the objective in the video, as well as trying to work on getting the gates. So we'll see how far I get. All right guys, I'm gonna get to it. Alrighty, so there we go. Got it pretty much mocked up there and tacked in place. You guys can see a nice little 45 out the bumper there. So not too far. I don't really want to be tripping over that shit every time I'm at the track or something, walking around the car or whatever. But that's that. It's just like I said, it's just got it started up there, and then got it taped and tacked, and that's how I'm gonna do it. Like I said, I'm not really so much focused on the V-band thing right now. I'm gonna put a V-band somewhere in here so that way the tip can be pulled out of the bumper and not have to worry about like trying to flex the bumper around the exhaust, or you know, you'll be able to break it free from the V-band and try to filter it through the hole and then back out with the whole exhaust. I don't know, we'll see. Once I start adding the welds down there on that connection right there, it might end up being too fat for it to go through the bumper, which some people are going to say, oh, you can't have it sitting that close to the bumper, it's going to melt it. Well, it might. I don't give a fuck. So it is what it is. So anyway, I'll get it all done up here, and if I have to, I'll go back through and I'll do a little slight trimming with like a Dremel or something and kind of give that little bit of an air gap. But once I get this all tacked up and welded up, I'm going to take and come off the bottom of this probably straight down and just go straight to the top of this with a bracket to kind of help hold this in place, so that way like it's not just being held on by the V-band. And then once all that's done, I'll have to drill me a hole somewhere out in here and put my O2 bung for the O2 sensor and the wideband I meant, and then I'll move on to doing the wastegates. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a little mid setup here, trying to show you exactly what the setup is. Okay, so here we are going to move forward with actually getting the gates on now that I've got the exhaust done up. You guys can see, don't look at my ugly welds, but I got the hanger hanging there, got, you know, bolt through it, so she ain't moving. She's completely done. I am pretty happy with that. For you guys that might be interested, this is pretty simple. So what I did is I bought a 45 from Race Part Solutions, 5-inch, and then I bought a 90, which I have another piece of it over there, but I ended up not using it. So what I did is I took and cut the 90 out of the entire 90-degree like leg bend, you know, and I then took and cut the 90 into 245 degrees. So as it comes out, it's a 45 down, almost exact angle that I needed it to go between the frame rails. And then it came out, and then just boom, boom, just, I mean, it's as sweet as I was hoping it would be. So exhaust to the, you know, the flange there that goes on the Marmon style to the turbine, and then just one connection there, one connection there. And then, like I said, later down the road, what I'll probably do is I'll cut that weld right here back, and then I'll put the V-band right there. So then that way, like, well, actually it might have to be on this side of the bracket. So anyway, I'll put the V-band in at some point so that way the bumper can be removed and stuff like that. Possibly. I have already been contemplating taking and putting a one-piece front end on this car. And so if I do that, I'll just take and make a cutout in the bumper like this, and then leave this back side open. So then as the front end comes off, it just slips off the front of the exhaust. So that's more than likely probably what's going to happen. Realistically, I lied to you guys. There ain't never going to be no V-band put on that. So anyway, moving forward. I've got this 2-inch stainless, no, 2-inch? 2.5, I think. Yeah, I think this is 2.5. Anyway, this is the Vibrant. This is pretty nice stainless pipe. If you guys have ever dealt with that company, you know their stuff is actually pretty quality stuff. Anyway, kind of expensive. Like this one piece of pipe I bought off of Summit, I think it was like 60 bucks. So kind of pricey for some exhaust pipe, but whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to eyeball this and try to see exactly where I want to put this gate. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut back on that little tip there, and then try to merge that as best I can, come out about a couple inches, and and then put the gate on. So I'll show you guys. Basically the gate's gonna sit something very similar to that right there, roughly. So, and then the other side, I'm gonna come off right at this bend and maybe angle it slightly to where it's something like this, to where the dump can just dump right out underneath the car. So then it'll have one there and one there, and that's how I'll do it. So let me get started on this, guys, and I'll touch base back with you in a second. Okay, so I've got the first one mocked up here. Show you guys what I'm working with. So that's about the area where it's gonna go. I kind of measured or marked the inner diameter and outer diameter, basically where the material, the pipe, is gonna sit. All right, so something similar to that. All right, and then what I did is I just took and cut it and molded it and just worked the pipe, you know, cut it off flush to where, like, you know, the V-band, if I can do this one-handed here, the V-band will go on. So once you guys get it on there, it'll be something similar to like that right there. And then obviously the wastegate will go on, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come across the top side of this and gusset it with like a little small piece of stainless triangle, just so like the weight of that gate isn't like hanging down on this pipe. It'll be helped and structured. So I've got it marked. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on doing the passenger side, and then once the passenger side's done and marked and cut and molded like this one, I'll take the Y pipe off here, and I will take and cut out this entire area. Once I get this cut out, I'll take and put it back on the car, and then I will tack these on and put the V-band on with the gate, so that way we don't have to worry about like the flange flexing or warping any kind of way from the heat of welding, and then and go at it. So I'll take and probably weld these V-bands on the bench. I'll take and put them on the gate, and then get them to where they're nice and even, and then go at it. And then that'll be that, guys. So moving on to the passenger side. This will be the fun one, because like I said, it's gonna come out of this area right in here. So I'm gonna have to take and like basically cut back out all this weld that I welded, but that's okay. So, all right. Okay, so I've got the passenger side done here. Well, not done, but at least marked. And I've got this 45 here that's molded as best I can get it. So it'll go on the pipe, something like that. So, and then what I ended up having to do is just cut this end down, so that way the wastegate had enough space between once it's welded. Get it in here for you guys, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Once it's welded to the V-band and it's in place, right, it'll be something very similar to that. So I had to cut that down to bring the gate closer to the Y pipe, and then that way it's got enough room between the top of the hat there, and you know, because you're gonna have to get that off in order for the wastegate springs to be changed. So if you ever go in there and go to change it, it might be a pain in the ass. So, but anyway, guys, they're marked. There's a few different ways that people make these holes. Really, I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's really a good way to do it. You definitely want to make sure that when you're doing this, that's why I've got two marks there. So as the pipe is up there and it's welded, you've got enough, see if I can give you a little picture. You've got enough material inside that the pipe is welded to. You don't want to get in there and go cutting that hole out, and then your hole's cut out too much, and then your pipe ain't got nothing to weld to. So what a lot of people do is that if they have the capability, what they do is they like tack this in place, and then they'll come in and try to hole saw this out, or you know, hog it out with like a metal removing bit or something, like on a drill bit, or you know, air tool or something. I don't necessarily have all those tools or capability to do that, so I'm gonna do this the little bit more dangerous way, I guess you could say. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna leave all this in place, just because I'm not really too concerned with like metal shavings get all the way up into the head and then in the turbine, so it's not gonna travel that far. and I'm gonna be taking this shit on and off 2 or 3 more times, I'm sure anyway. I've got to weld the EGT, Holley EGT bungs. They're coming. I haven't got that yet, so that's gonna get installed. But anyway, so I'll have plenty of time to get all the areas cleaned out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill a circle in this center, and then step it up with a step bit. I think I can go up to like 1/2 inch. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my body saw and try to slowly trim this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna trim that just like an 1/8 of an inch on the inside of that inside line. That way it gives me enough material to even like as a double safety, that where if I need to go back, I can like, you know, Dremel it or something like that. And basically once I get that hole cut and I know I'm good and I'm satisfied with it, then I'll come back and I will put these in place and I'll tack them in place, hang the gate and get it all done up, and then I will fully weld it. So that way this hole will already be done and I can do it that way. So like I said, there's different ways to do it. Some people do it differently. That's just the way I'm gonna choose to do it on this setup. And I'll show you guys along the way. Okay, now that the holes are cut open, like I said, you can still see all the shavings and stuff in there, but I'll get all that out because like I said, everything's gonna come out again. Just cover that up so that way it throw metal obviously inside the engine, same with the turbo. But I kept my lines, I just cleaned them off, but as you can see, I just cleaned up the round. And yeah, let me see if I can get the pipe here and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I haven't cleaned this one up yet, but you know, it's in there like that. Let's see, get you guys a better view. Get it lined up. And boom, there you go. Straight in. Kind of hard to hold, but you get the picture, right? If you guys are concerned with how that was gonna go for some of you guys, that's how you would do it. And then same thing for this side, same concept. Got this one here. Kind of hard to see this one, but once it's all up in there, you know, I don't have it completely lined up, but again, you get the picture, right? So once it's in place, boom, I'll tack it on next, get the V-bands put on, at least tacked on, hang the gates, and then I'll finish welding. And then once I finish welding, I'll pull the gates back off, pull the whole system apart, and get all those shavings out, and the wastegates will be complete. So that's pretty much gonna button it up, guys. I don't really need to drag the video on any longer. So if you guys tuned into the video, I appreciate you guys watching it. Guys, we're chipping along. It's coming slowly but surely, but I'm getting there. I will be getting there very soon. So once the wastegates are done, charge pipe will be next. EGTs for the headers, pull the motor, paint, put it back in, wire it, hit the button. So I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit that for me. Like the video if you did. If you did like it. If you didn't, well, let me know down in the comments. I'll try to read them. So, all right, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks.